Hello, welcome to my channel Vadi's Tech Space. I'm Vadi, and in today's video we are going to talk about point-to-site configurations in Azure's Virtual Network Gateway. Let's get started. Before we go to Azure portal to start creating our resources, let's go over a few key concepts to understand the setup better here. So I'll walk you through a quick presentation to lay the groundwork. So imagine a scenario where a remote employee or a consultant needs access to Azure resources from their home or their remote location. So what they do typically what they do is that they access it via a public IP or a fully qualified domain name. So is this the right way to access it? It is a way to access it, but there are better ways of accessing and a secure way of accessing it. So now what if we had a secure tunnel here? So imagine if instead of sending your sensitive information through crowded and safe street like public internet, what if you had a secure private tunnel connecting your remote site directly to Azure? So this tunnel, which is invisible to others, making sure only you have access to it and all data traveling through it protected from tampering. So this is exactly what a VPN gateway provides, a secure encrypted tunnel over the internet, ensuring that your data is both safe and effectively routed between your remote location and Azure resources. So now here, let's reimagine the same scenario with point to site configured here. So from the a remote user starts a connection request to Azure resources, okay, and this time securely. The VPN client is installed on users' devices, so the VPN client will establish an encrypted tunnel to Azure. The encrypted traffic is directed to the Azure VPN gateway, which serves as the entry point for the connection. The VPN gateway here decrypts the traffic and routes it to the appropriate Azure resources within the network. This is how the flow would be. Now, let's go through some key components for point to site configuration. So, here, first we have Azure Virtual Network Gateway. So, this connects your Azure VNet to the remote network here. It establishes an encrypted tunnel over the internet. Now, point to site configuration is the second thing. So this is the configuration which allows the individual devices to connect securely to Azure by assigning unique IPs to the client. And also here you can set up authentication like whether you need to be authenticated using certificates or Azure Active Directory. So now here after configuration you can download the VPN client and install it on the user devices which will securely create a tunnel. So here now, as a part of this exercise, I'm going to create, I'm going to set up our environment here. Now, I'm going to create a virtual network here, okay? And I will have a dedicated gateway subnet and a virtual machine, which will be which will not have a public IP address. And then I will have a virtual network gateway created in the uh, virtual network here. So this is what we are going to do. So let's go to the Azure portal now. In the Azure portal, let's start by creating the virtual network here. So the virtual network, all right. So create. Now this resource will be in Australia Central. So I'm going to go with the RG gateway and Australia Central location region. Now the name would be Azure VNet 01. I'm going to leave this as is. I'm going to say 10.10.0.0 16. Next, and I'm going to click on create. Now, while this is getting created, let's go open a new window here and create the virtual network gateway resource, or we can also we can go with virtual machine here. As virtual network gateway takes more time, I'm going to start with that. So click on create virtual network gateway. I'm going to create it. So let's go here and quickly create a gateway subnet. Okay. So I'm going to click on gateway subnet, click on add. So I have the gateway subnet now. Now we are ready to go to the creation of virtual network gateway. Now I'm going to say VNG gateway 01. It's in central. VPN is the gateway type. I'm going to go with GW1, generation 1. Virtual network here would be Azure VNet. Okay, by the time I loaded this page, the gateway subnet was not created. So what I'm going to do, reload this page so that the gateway subnet gets reflected here. All right, this is the one. The name is this, region is Australia. The virtual network is Azure VNet 01. Let's pick the gateway subnet here. The public IP, yes, I'm going to say PIP, VNG. Virtual network. I don't want in active mode. This is more used for high availability and resilience. So I'm going to say I'm going to disable that. BGP is disabled. Rest all are disabled. Let's make sure. Name, region, gateway type, VPN, Q1, generation 1, network, gateway subnet, PIP, active disable, BGP disable. We are good. Let's go ahead and click on create here once it's validated. Now, while this will take a while, so we have all the time now. So I'm going to go to the, I'm going to click on create a resource and I'm going to click on virtual machine. So let's create a virtual machine here. And what I'm going to say is that I'm going to say VNG test 01. Okay, I'm going to just to make sure I understand this is a VM. I'm going to say VNG test VM01. It's in Australia Central. 2022 is good. Good. I'm going to say B2 is the size. Let me give an admin credentials here. So all right. Okay. So I'm going to expose 82. So this is not the right way, but this is a demo. So I'm exposing it to the world. Else I would certainly restrict that. Um, yeah, this is fine. Okay. Now here I'm going to go to the same VNet, but this time in the subnet. So the gateway subnet, we cannot use that. It is used exclusively by virtual network gateway. So we have the new public IP address here. And we're okay. Let's go back and say we don't need a public IP address here. So I'm going to say none. Okay. Yeah, but what we can disassociate that later because I need to configure a few things. So I'll keep this public IP for now. Okay. We click on monitoring, advanced, tags, create. So let's wait for this virtual machine to get created. The VM got created. Let's go to the resource here and let me take the public IP and connect to that. Okay, I'm going to give my password. All right, yes. So let's get into the VM and let's create a sample page. And I will install the IIS on this Internet Information Server on this machine. And ultimately, from my device, I should be able to access the server over a private IP. That's the goal, using the point-to-site configuration. So as a part of that, we are installing the web server here and create a sample page. Now, while this is happening, let's go here. Okay, this, as I said, this will take a while. Okay, so let it load, yes. Now, let it, it's preparing right now, so I'm going to wait till it's ready. So the blue line which is passing through, that means it's still working. So you gotta wait. Now, come on. Still connecting the inventory data. Okay, we're good here. So I click on the add roles and features. Yes. Next, I want to click on web server. Yes. Click on next. Click on next. Click on next. All good. And install. The web server got installed. Let's go to inetpub folder and C drive, inetpub, www. I'm going to click and say new text document. I'm going to say index.html and I'm going to edit it using Notepad. I'm going to say hello from Azure VM. I've saved this file. Now let's try this on the local machine once just to make sure that it is that we are seeing it as expected. Local version by TTP. Hello from Azure VM. So we are good here. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to disconnect this VM and uh, I'm going to go to this public IP overview. I'm going to disassociate this from the Azure virtual machine. So now the Azure virtual machine cannot be publicly accessed. Okay. So now once the as you see, there is no public IP address here. So here the virtual network gateway resource also got created. Now let's go to the virtual network gateway. So this is our IP address here. So now here I'm going to click under the settings. I'm going to click on point to site configuration. Now we are going to configure the point to site configuration now. Let's click on configure now. So address pool. This is the address pool uh, IP. The IP will be allocated to the client device who connect via a VPN client. So this will be the from this pool the IP will be assigned. So I'm going to say 10.10 20 dot o dot o dot o dot 24 is fine. So I'm going to this. I'm going to give this as a address pool. So open VPN IKE and say IKEV version 2. And in the authentication type, you can connect using Active Directory as well. So in this demo, we are going to use Azure certificate. Now, the certificate, Microsoft has a guidance here. Microsoft has given a guidance on how to generate and export certificates. So I have gone here to create a self-signed root certificate. I need a root certificate and I need a client certificate. So the client certificate will be installed on the clients who are connecting, who are installing the VPN, and the root certificate needs to be saved in the virtual network gateway point to site configuration. So now I'm going to copy this and go to PowerShell. Okay. So I'm going to go to Windows PowerShell here and I'm going to paste it. Now this is a root certificate. Now let's generate the client certificate. So let's go here, copy it and paste it. I am going to go to the certificates, manage user certificates, and from here I'm going to go to the personal and certificates. As you see, the P2S child certificate and the P2S root certificates have been created here. So now I'm going to right click on the root certificate and I'm going to click on export. So I don't want this, yes, base 64 encoding, and the file name would be the colon root certificate dot cr. I'm going to click on finish. The export was completed. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to my D and look for the root certificate. So now this root certificate, I open the root certificate here. I'm going to take the content of the root certificate here. I'm going to exclude the begin and end certificate. I'm going to take this and I go to the public certificate data and I'm going to say root certificate. Okay. And I'm going to click on save. So the authentication type is Azure certificate, the tunnel is IKE, and root certificate has been given, and that's it. So this you save the point to site configuration. So now once this is saved, we will download the VPN client here and install it on our machine to securely access the VM over the private IP. The configuration is complete now. So what we are going to do is that we're going to install the VPN client. Before that, what we are going to do is that in this VM where we don't have the public IP, we're going to get the private IP address of this URL and I'm going to say try to access this. Now, as expected, it keeps spinning. You're not able to connect to that. Now that the configuration is done here to point to site, there is a download VPN client here. So I am going to click on this. So once I click on this, the client gets downloaded here. So the client gets downloaded here. Now I open the zip here. Like if you see, these are the uh, files which I have. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to extract all here. Okay. Now in the extracted folder, I'm going to go to the AMD and click on this. Okay, I'm just looking at this. So Windows, and yeah, it's not protected, I know, but let's go ahead and click it. All right, I get a, I say yes, and now I got, do you want to reach the VPN client for yes? All right, so that's it. The VPN client got installed. So let's go to the VPN settings here. So in the VPN settings, if you see, I can see Azure VNet 01. This is a uh, VPN name. So I'm going to click on connect here. So I get a VPN box. So I click on connect, continue, and it said yes. It's going to take a minute here. So yeah, this is connected now. So let's go back to this particular page and click on reload. So boom, as you see, I'm able to access the Azure resources securely over the private IP. Now, some interesting things to look at. If you're interested, you can go to the command window and you can print the route and see the route table here. So, you know, the VPN gateway, right? The VPN gateway IP here is at 20, 28, 40, 20. So it's like this, right? It's from this IP, it goes through this gateway and it reaches the destination, which is a uh, VPN gateway IP. So this route table, you can study that. And if you click on ipconfig/all, now here you can see like Azure VNet, this is connected. And if you see 10.20.0.2, this IP, how did it pick this IP? If you recollect, we have given this address pool here. So in this address pool, we said that, pick the IP from this address pool. And that is the reason, it has picked 10.20.0.2. So this is how you set up the point-to-site configuration in Azure. If you found this video helpful, please feel free to give a like and consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.